lovelies. Hope you don't mind. I've left the beanbag stretched out. That's what we did. We just took the beanbag and stretched it into two parts. It's definitely not a second beanbag. Just one. Pull it out into two. Oh man. Are y'all cool with a little weirdness? I hope so. I guess if you're here, you must be fine with a bit of weirdness. My goodness, I was only gonna do one chapter tonight, but it's only 2.5 pages. We'll stick to that. Trying to get myself back onto a better sleep schedule for myself. I don't know how I got off, but I did, and it been up really, really late most nights. But tonight, gonna be asleep. Sure as I say it, it won't happen. Around midnight. We'll see. I'll let y'all know tomorrow how that goes. But we're trying to get back on to a track that feels better to my body. So we shall see how that goes. Well, really to my brain. This one feels fine to my body, but not to my brain. All right, tonight we have chapter 19, and it's called Only Ignorance. I do not know how long I was ill. Mr. Bond, the horse doctor, came every day. One day he bled me. John held a pail for the blood. I felt very faint after it and thought I should die, and I believe they all thought so too. Ginger and Merrylegs had been moved into the other stable so that I might be quiet, for the fever made me very quick of hearing. Any little noise seemed quite loud, and I could tell everyone's footsteps going to and from the house. I knew all that was going on. One night John had to give me a drought. Thomas Green came in to help him. After I had taken it, and John made me as comfortable as he could, he said he should stay half an hour to see how the medicine settled. Thomas said he would stay with him, so they went and sat on a bench that had been brought into Merrylegs' stall, and put down the lantern at their feet, and I might not be disturbed with the light. For a while both men sat silent, and then Tom Green said in a low voice, "I wish, John, you'd say a bit of a kind word to Joe. The boy is quite heartbroken. He can't eat his meals, and he can't smile. He says he knows it was all his fault, though he is sure he did the best he knew. And he says if Beauty dies, no one will ever speak to him again. It goes to my heart to hear him. I think you might give him just a word. He is not a bad boy." After a short pause, John said slowly, "You must not be too hard upon me, Tom. I know he meant no harm. I never said he did. I know he is not a bad boy, but you see, I am sore myself. That horse is the pride of my heart, to say nothing of his being such a favorite with the master and mistress, and to think that his life may be flung away in this manner is more than I can bear. But if you think I am hard on the boy, I will try to give him a good word tomorrow. That is, if Beauty is better." "Well, John, thank you. I knew you did not wish to be too hard, and I'm glad you see it was only ignorance." John's voice almost startled me as he answered, "Only ignorance? Only ignorance? How can you talk about only ignorance? Don't you know that it is the worst thing in the world next to wickedness? And which does the most mischief, heaven only knows. If people can say, 'Oh, I did not know, I did not mean any harm,' they think it's all right. I suppose Martha Mulwash did not mean to kill that baby when she dosed it with Dalby and soothing syrups, but she did kill it. and she was tried for manslaughter. And serve her right too, said Tom. A woman should not undertake to nurse a tender little child without knowing what is good for and what is bad for it. Bill Starkey, continued John, did not mean to frighten his brother into fits when he dressed up like a ghost and ran after him in the moonlight, but he did. And that bright, handsome little fellow that might have been the pride of any mother's heart is just no better than an idiot, and never will be if he lived to be 80 years old. You were a good deal cut up yourself, Tom, 2 weeks ago, when those young ladies left your hothouse door open, with a frosty east wind blowing right in, and you said it killed a good many of your plants. A good many, said Tom. There was not one of the tender cuttings that was not nipped off. I shall have to strike all over again, and the worst of it is that I don't know where to go to get fresh ones. I was nearly mad when I came in and saw what was done. And yet, said John, I am sure the young ladies did not mean it. It was only ignorance. I heard no more of this conversation, for the medicine did well and sent me to sleep, and in the morning I felt much better, but I often thought of John's words when I came to know more of the world. A lot of this, like the wording, we don't need anymore, right? We don't need to call people idiots. We don't need to call, a man with a crooked leg, crooked little man. We don't need that sort of wording. But a lot of the points are still true in our society. A lot of time, I didn't know any better. I've used that myself. But it's so important for us to own our mistakes and come into knowledge. Why would we not, as people and as a society, want to come into knowledge, want to grow, want to be better for ourselves and each other? Why would we not? Why would we not? I feel like it's going to be important for us as a world if we want to become better, to learn how to step back when someone says something to us. And I'm not saying own every discrepancy that every human has with you. I get it. But at the very least, step back and say, I might be wrong. And at the very least, I'm sorry that I hurt you. And I'll take a look into it. Again, we don't have to own every opinion someone else has of us. And I know that there are certain times when someone will have a negative opinion of us, and they would be wrong in many people's sights. Their wrong opinion, their negative thoughts towards us come from their own internal need to heal. But I don't see what would be wrong with a world that said, I'm sorry that I hurt you, and I'll take a look into it. And maybe even coming back and talking about it later when, people aren't triggered or tempers aren't as high. So the wording could be redone to be better, more PC for the world today. But there are a lot of good points. Ooh, a lot of moments that make me go, amen. Like this non-Christian want to pray. Is that beauty? I think it might be. And then there was one more little. I think we've seen that one before. I wonder if that was in the front. Anyway, let me put a bookmark. Chapter 20. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Be good. Be good to each other. Listen to each other.